Can you tell us about your lineup tonight? Pretty light optional out there. Is Pettersson back this evening?
So I'll talk to Petey after skating again today. So it's a game time. At this point with players, it's how he feels. Like you get the doctors and people, hey, or whatever, and then it's up to the player if he feels comfortable. Right? So I think that's where we're at. So I'll talk to him after the skate.
So possible option tonight, starter?
Lanks will go tonight, but Demmer's close. Like he's felt good last practice, so he's really close.
Lankinen didn't take the optional skate. I'm not used to seeing that.
Yeah.
Is that just to manage a guy's workload, given some of the uncertainty around Demko and how condensed your schedule is?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's important, especially at this time of year. You don't need to go on the ice, 3 times in 2 days. So, and Lanks is a veteran guy in the sense that he knows what he needs.
Any other changes? I mean, we saw like Derek Forbert took a tough hit in the knee, for example, in that Montreal game. Are there any other sort of questionable guys?
He's a game time again. See how he feels, and then whether it's Briz or Brantz to go in for him, it's like a game time. So a couple banged up guys.
We didn't ask in Montreal, but I probably should have.
Sure.
The Nils Höglander penalty.
Yeah.
And he's been playing better for you producing. He has the nice pass in that game to get you guys on the board. But, in that moment, how do you react to that? And how do you sort of work with a younger guy on being more disciplined in a moment like that?
Yeah, I think when at first he had his hands kind of over Hudson, I'm not sure it was a penalty, but it was close. It's high alert time. I think as a player at that point, you can't do the next egregious thing.
Right.
And, I think he just, whether it's, I don't know if it's a call or not. At that point, you did 2 indiscretions, whether that's soft or not, the ref's going to go, hey. So I don't blame the ref at that point. But saying that, it's a learning lesson for Hoggy. Hoggy, who broke his stick or lost his stick, now has to switch with the other winger. So he should be on the side where the bench is.
Right.
Instead of saying the weak side. Now, this is stuff that you try to, we've talked about it, and this is where you're under pressure. So Hoggy should have replaced, I forget the other winger should have switched. So now you have Hoggy on the strong side. So now when the puck is there,
he's got a shot to get a stick.
Or go to the bench, get a stick and be either change. So I think that's the penalty, can't take it, but to me is no one switch with a guy under pressure, anything. That's really what it comes down to. So next time it happens, hopefully he knows to do that.
Just a big picture question for you. Last season, when things were going so well for your group, you sort of keep pushing to elevate the standard and maintain that consistency. Obviously, this season's unfolded differently, whether it's because of outside noise or all the injuries that you've had to deal with and a different lineup card every night. How much has your approach had to evolve over the course of this season versus what you were able to do in sort of building this when you first came in and then maintaining it through last year?
Well, I think I got to stay calm, and I think sometimes when you come into a situation we're making some mistakes. I mean, last game they had 6 shots halfway through the game. We didn't get a puck in deep, and then we made before the goal about 9 mistakes. So my point is, we didn't do that last year. So now it's my job to figure why are we making those mistakes. Is it because of the injuries? Is it communication with the coaches and the players? Is it some guys are panicking right now? Some guys. There's a lot of different factors, but the fact of the matter is, 10 minutes left, it's 6 shots, and all of a sudden after that play, we started to unravel. And I think that was the message today is, you got to be able to hang in there if somebody makes a mistake. And I think right now we're getting a little bit out of sorts. And whether it's lineup changes, I don't know. But you still, as a guy, and it's the old Bill Belichick, make sure you just do your job if there's a mistake. And I think that's really what it comes down to.
I've got a big picture one for you, too. You played with Wayne Gretzky and against Wayne Gretzky. You coached against Ovi. How can you explain how different, like, obviously he's chasing this record, but Gretzky wasn't a goal scorer. This guy is. How can you explain how different they are as players and how different the game is from then to now?
Well, just being an assistant coach those years when we had those great playoff series with Washington, you might be able to shut him down for a bit, but then he'd run your defense or he'd hit somebody with he could do something else than another score. Like Wayne. Like Wayne could score, pass. He was always a threat. Ovi's the same way, but when Ovi's, say you've done a good job of shutting him down for a period or two, if you look on the score sheet, he's run 4 guys. And then all of a sudden, the third period, D go back for it. They're a little hesitant. Now who's going to get the puck? Washington, and now he gets his goal. So that's what amazes me about him is his aggressiveness. You know, people, yeah, he's a great goal scorer, but this guy's made some big hits in his career that's loosened up those goals. That's why he gets those goals, because the next thing you know, the D are not going as hard, and they lose them, and then he gets those slot shots, or I don't know, he scores a million shots around the net too, because he's not afraid to go in front of the net.
Is it harder to score now?
That?
Is it harder to score now than it was back then?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess you got to ask some old school guys. You know, there's a lot more holding, hooking, cross-checking in front. So you had now is a little bit more the rules. So is it easier to get it? I think it's. I shouldn't say it's easier to get inside. I think playing inside's a little bit. You can go inside a little bit more knowing that the rules, right? And it's probably you're not going to get cross-check. Back in the day, you get cross-check, you get hook and hold. So I think it's a give and take. That's a tough question for me. But the guys nowadays, the talented, are way talented than back in the day. But there was also, you know, Hudson Bay rules. You know, those rules are a little bit different back in the day, and it's for the good now.
What do you see when you watch this Caps team? They apparently are a little bit dealing with some illnesses and some injuries, a little bit banged up, but in terms of the depth that they're able to use and how they've played over the course of the season.
Yeah, I think if you look at teams in the league, and everybody's having issues or problems and trying to figure their way, the one constant with the Washington is they play their identity every night. I haven't watched them lately. I mean, obviously pre-scouts, but I really have taken a step looking at the coach done a hell of a job because he's coached their identity. They're a bigger team. They have their D kind of hang around the net a lot, and they block a lot of shots. They have good sticks. Anything down low, they squash plays. That's what I like about their team is they squash plays. There's not a lot of time and space. So they're playing to their identity, and they've done a good job acquiring guys that play their identity. They're getting guys that they're a heavier team. They win battles. They play good down low, and they're getting those type of those players.
Was so bad. This is terrible.
For Brad Marsh, and he's hanging around the front of the net, around the front of the net. And then as he tries to gather him, it's just a matter if it's two or anything more than.
Quinn, thanks for taking the time to come and sit down and chat with me today.
Generational talent.
Thanks for liking the video and subscribing.